Okay. Right. The last parts of this tutorial. The 50th Jubilee of Orakau stands out as a useful way of contrasting Māori and Pākehā views of Orakau 50 years on. Okay, so the 50th Jubilee was in 1914, 50 years after the battle, and it's a really useful way to point at which we can look at how these views of Orakau differed between Māori and Pākehā. Okay, so the dominant view, okay, which I think you've guessed, is the Pākehā view. By 1914, Pākehā dictated how the battle was remembered, and the media at the time show us how it was remembered. Okay, and they remember it as a happy occasion for both races to reflect on after 50 years of peace. That's pretty much what's said, and that's on the website. On my website, you can see it there. Well, for a start, they were wrong about 50 years of peace because the New Zealand Wars continued after 1864 when Orakau was fought. Okay, and O'Malley, and you can use this point, O'Malley claimed that Orakau was used by the media as an important part, at that point in time, as an important part of New Zealand's nation building. Okay, it was an important step in our becoming a nation. So look at the evidence on the website. I've got some descriptions. These are not quotes, they're descriptions of what's said in the New Zealand Herald with dates. So you can say, on this date, it said in the Herald that. Okay, so I paraphrase what's in the Herald. And then there's the Jubilee booklet. Again, I've got a description of what's put in the Jubilee booklet. Now, the Jubilee booklet was this little booklet that was produced and given out at the 50th Jubilee celebrations of Orakau on the 4th of April 1914. Okay? Now, it's really important to note with this that the Jubilee booklet was written by Mr. Gilbert Mair. This is the same man who in 1864 was reported in the media as having stopped the killing of a Māori woman after the battle. And yet, in the Jubilee booklet, there's no mention of this. Now, this is because there was no place in the 1914 remembrance, there was no place for the brutality. Okay? There was no place for the truth. Okay? In this harmonious myth that was being created subconsciously around race relations. Okay, so in other words, the Jubilee booklet was a sanitized account of the battle, an account that supported this idea that together, now 50 years on, Māori and Pākehā stand side by side, and that all New Zealanders can benefit from the courage and the chivalry shown by Māori at Orakau. Okay, there was no place in that for the nitty-gritty of what happened, the fact that non-combatants were killed. And the irony is that the man who stopped, one of the men who stopped some of that brutality from happening, Gilbert Mair, and was reported in the newspapers which we've looked at, was the one who wrote the Jubilee booklet. Okay? Now, the Māori view, and again, you can also refer here to the Rewi's Last Stand movie, which I spoke about in the earlier parts of this tutorial, and it was a very visual, stylized retelling of the battle, and along the very romantic lines of this way in which the battle was remembered by the Pākehā perspective. Now, the Māori view at the 50th Jubilee is a little bit different. Okay, Orakau was not something to be celebrated. There were Māori at the 50th Jubilee, but they were in a minority. Okay, very much in a minority, and you'll see from the description on the website that there was one Māori MP there, but a number of Pākehā MP. The Māori MP spoke last. The Pākehā MP spoke first. Okay. For Māori Orakau, and this is what you can put in here, or you can mention, you can discuss, you can include, is that it was a place where 150 people were killed. It was a place. It was a battle which marked the final loss of the Waikato land. It was a place where atrocities were committed. And furthermore, Te Kingitanga were not involved in the organisation of the 50th Jubilee. In fact, the Māori King was not there. He was in England at the time, petitioning the King for a return of Waikato land. Now, Vincent O'Malley, in his book, has found further evidence of the Māori view, which was missing from the Jubilee. Okay? And he refers to an inscription that was created in 1916, so 2 years after the Jubilee, and an inscription by the Te Huhu family, which was used to commemorate Orakau. And it describes the Pākehā as waging war on Māori, that Rewi was defeated, and the lands were taken by a Pākehā war of conquest. So for them, that was what Orakau was. It was a defeat, not a heroic last stand. And it was the last step in a war of conquest by the Europeans, where Māori authority was destroyed. Okay? So, for these reasons, the battle was something tragic to be commemorated, not celebrated. So in explaining the Māori view and how it's different to the European view, is that the Māori view was that Orakau was something to be commemorated, was something to be remembered with sadness for what it was and what it meant for the people. Whereas, as I mentioned earlier, for the Pākehā, Orakau was a celebration of the final, the end of a celebration of a heroic battle where Māori were very courageous and chivalrous, which means that they were good sports. Okay, and those are characteristics that were to be admired. Okay, by focusing on that and not acknowledging the brutality and the atrocities and what Orakau actually was to not give Māori a voice. Okay, so hopefully this has been helpful. I will follow this up with some one-on-one kanohi ki te kanohi conversations with you about how you can structure this section. This section is quite tricky. It might take a couple of goes. Okay, it's not just simply a retelling of the story. It's a little bit of analysis. Okay, so it will be difficult, but don't shy away from it. Throw some ideas down. Okay, send them to me, and I'll give you some feedback. Thank you.